You've just returned from the pub. You've got your loved one by your side. You're about to have a little tussle in the hay, as we say. Now, they put me in charge of this program. My name is Billy Corgan. You might know me from my group, the Smashing Pumpkins, which broke up. Now we're supposed to get back together. I don't know. It's a rumor. But I don't want this to interfere with your sex life. I've carefully chosen these videos to assist you to the height of pleasure because I love you that much. So, frolic away. If you occasionally hear my voice, you may stop and listen. But don't stop.
Rage.
Back in the good old days, when I was a wee lad, bands that used synthesizers were considered a bit fey. Of course, now the synthesizer has become a rock and roll instrument like any other. But these young lads from Essex, I believe, in England, they saw something in that synthesizer. They saw a bright future. I'm talking about Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode has evolved through the years, and of course they're still making great music today. But this is back when they were sort of more known as a disco band. Which was, of course, a wide scope of things at that time. This is Get the Balance Right. This next artist is one of the most legendary bands to ever come into rock and roll focus. One of those bands that existed for a very short amount of time, but their influence is still being felt today. The band I'm talking about is Joy Division, who only existed for about 3 to 4 years. Until their singer tragically died at the age of 24. The band went on to become New Order, which of course enjoyed a lot of success as New Order. But this is the most seminal of their songs, the one that they're most known for as Joy Division. I was lucky enough to play with New Order on tour in 2001, and they had decided just on that tour to start playing Joy Division songs again. And I was lucky because both in rehearsal and on stage, not only did I get to play this song, but I also got to sing along. And every time I played this song, I got goosebumps. This is Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division. Good day, Australia. Crikey. You following me? This is Billy Corgan. You're watching Rage. Yes. Thank you for having me in your home tonight. Of course, after you see this, you won't want me back. So I'm going to take advantage of this time and talk to you about a little band called Filter. In 1995, I was on tour with my band, the Smashing Pumpkins, and we were looking for an opening act. And somebody said, why don't you use this new band from Chicago called Filter? The singer was Richie Patrick, and continues to be Richie Patrick, who we'd known when he was the guitar player in Nine Inch Nails. Back then, he had a shaved head and he had electrical tape on his nipples, but this was the new Richie Patrick. This was the rock and roll Richie Patrick. And this was their first single off their album, which was very controversial because it dealt with the subject matter of a very famous incident in America where a man called a press conference. He was a politician, and in front of the assembled press corps basically blew his head off. There's bootleg videos of this that have floated around. I unfortunately have seen this video. It's horrible. And so they'd written a song about this guy, not so ironically entitled Hey Man, Nice Shot. Not very much in good taste. So lo and behold, we took this band on tour, and they went on to great success. The guitar player in the band, Brian Leesgang, who was the co-writer of this song, is now on tour with me for my solo album, and he's one of my best mates. So I've yet to talk to him about the bad taste of this song, and I think I'll just let that go. This is Hey Man, Nice Shot by Filter. Hello, pirates. This is your lead buccaneer, Billy Corgan, leading you on a fanciful trip through music oblivion on Rage.
Rage.
Who would have figured that a band could meld classic heavy metal and reggae? But this was a band that did that. I'm talking about Bad Brains, who hailed from the east coast of America. Bad Brains is one of those bands that people talk about, they sort of cite, but sometimes people don't necessarily get to the heart of this band. This band was absolutely ferocious, probably the greatest live act I ever saw. And I was lucky enough to even be in a position where at some point Bad Brains came and opened for my band, the Smashing Pumpkins. I first saw Bad Brains play in Florida, which is in the southeast of America, in 1986. when I was just a wee lad of 19. And absolutely, positively blew my mind, the power of this band. And unfortunately, I don't think the power of this band as a live act was ever fully captured on record, although this next song at least approaches the power of this band. If I could say anything to anybody, anytime, I would say this is absolutely a band you need to investigate, because this band influenced a whole generation of bands and really was the beginning of the grunge movement in many ways, because they sort of brought this power that showed everybody that it could be done in a way that wasn't lame. Unfortunately, that's been transgressed, but this was a time when it was pure. So, Bad Brains, Soulcraft. Ah, yes, welcome back. What can I say about this next artist? My band, the Smashing Pumpkins, was very influenced by sort of atmospheric English bands. And in the late 80s, we started translating that sort of atmosphere into sort of something that had a lot more power to it. Most of the English bands that we were influenced by in this time really didn't ever approach into any kind of heaviness. They stayed very much on the atmospheric side, Ride being one of the few exceptions. But this next band was probably the closest to a band that took the American end of the influences and translated it through the English sensibilities. This band was very influenced by Dinosaur Jr., especially in their guitar work, and is one of those bands that's sort of been forgotten a bit, but is really an incredible band. I really suggest checking out their work. And just great band. I can't say enough about this band. I really hope that there comes a time where people sort of rediscover this band. This is Swerve Driver. This would be from around the early 90s, and this is one of their great songs, Never Lose That Feeling. Hey, this is Billy Corgan. I'm programming this thing. Check it out. Rage. As I roll through this interesting life of mine, I'm asked many questions. And for some reason, God knows why, I'm often asked, do you dance? I'm not really sure why people ask me, do you dance? My stock answer, which I've said many times, is no, I don't dance. And they say, well, why not? And I said, because if you put me on the dance floor, I look like Pete Garrett at a Midnight Oil concert, because I'm the big, tall, bald guy in the middle. Midnight Oil is one of my favorite bands. I have many influences on my music, and this one is probably one of those secret ones. Midnight Oil was one of the first bands that showed me that you could have sort of a more radical approach to the way that you produced your records. And I think, in America, we didn't get the early Midnight Oil albums, which were a little punkier and a little more raw. We got them around this time, was when they first started, came into the consciousness of Americans. And this was the first video that I saw from Midnight Oil, which I think is shot outside at night. And the power of this band, which I got to see a few times live, is incredible. I'm a big fan, and I don't care that I'm in Australia. I'm going to play this anyway. Midnight Oil, Power and the Passion. Every once in a while, a band comes along that you make up your mind about, and you say, ugh, whatever. Somewhere in the 90s, I heard about this band from Australia where the kid kind of looked like Kurt Cobain, and they were kind of doing this grunge thing, and he was only about 16 years old, and he thought, ugh, teeny boppers doing our thing. And so I, like a lot of people, I think, dismissed Silverchair from the beginning because it was seen as sort of this post thing of rock. And yet, somewhere out of this great, incredible artist emerges. Daniel, I think, is such a undervalued talent. And I think this song particularly shows the heart that he has. And then now when you look at Silverchair and having had some time to look at him, I mean, who at 16 years old wouldn't be making the music that they love and be imitating their heroes and get lost in that? I think Daniel's really proven that he's a great artist, and I hope he keeps making music for a long time. I'm a big fan. So this is Anna's song by Silverchair. Good evening, Australia. I'm in charge. My name is Billy. I'll be your pilot. Just sit in the back, have a drink, put your feet up, and let me drive this plane right into the ground. On Rage. Rage. One time I was watching MTV in America, and they were interviewing Neil Young. This has been about 10, 13 years ago, somewhere in there. And they were asking him about being a classic artist and being an older artist, and And he kind of spit on the ground. He said, I don't give a damn about any of that stuff. I'm making music right now. I don't care about the past. I don't care about the future. I only care about the music I'm making right now. And I thought, right on, Neil. That's the way you do it. This is a song my band Smashing Pumpkins used to cover way back in 1988. A song I always loved. And notable for one of the great all-time solos in a rock and roll song because he only plays one note. This is Neil Young, Cinnamon Girl. Now, before you start rolling your eyes, just hear me out. I like to play a video by Hole. Now, I know everyone throws up their hands and says, oh, Courtney. What happened to Courtney? Courtney's alive and well, actually. Just saw her recently. And way back when, 1991, this band came to Chicago, stayed at my apartment. Girl was out of her mind. Talking about Courtney Love. And so we had this sort of strange relationship. Maybe we went out a few times. Won't say much more. But then she got married to this other guy, and he was a singer. But around 1997, Courtney and I convened in a musky, dusky rehearsal space to write a bunch of songs for her third album, Celebrity Skin. Courtney at the time was obsessed with kind of like California, Fleetwood Mac kind of thing. So we were trying to write sort of a dark California album, which I think we did a good job on. And I think as the years have gone by, people have come to appreciate this album, and that Courtney can write a great song. And I was happy to write that with her. Now this song, I believe I co-wrote the song. If I didn't co-write the song, I came up with the title because Courtney was always complaining about men. And so I came up with the title Be a Man because she was constantly complaining that no one was a man. So I thought Courtney singing Be a Man over and over again would be appropriate. So this is Be a Man by Hole. Hello. Now, being from America, we don't know much about your culture here. We don't get a lot of information, Like, no one talks about cricket in America. I know this is mind-boggling to the people here, but no one knows who Shane Warne is in America. I do, but no one else does. Now, this country that you have sort of to your east, I know you guys have been at war for, a couple hundred years. I know there's been a lot of casualties in this war. And I'm not sure if you want me to play a video from a band from New Zealand. But I recently saw this video, and I think this group is fantastic. And I immediately went out and bought their album. And I pretty much hate all music, so this must be pretty good. This is a band called The Bads. Check it out. Howdy, this is Billy Corgan. You're watching Rage.